Creative Finishes by Pam, and we are here this evening to get creative with some thrift store finds. We've done some things on my page with items from the Dollar Tree or whatever, and you guys may not be like me, you may not be a hoarder extraordinaire, but I love to get different things and just put them away for when I get ready to create a project. And when somebody needs something or I need to create something, I'm all set. I hope we don't lose power. We've got some really serious thunderstorms coming through tonight, or we would be on the screen porch. But we are in the classroom tonight. Here's the barn door you guys all saw on my Facebook page. Hey, Patricia. I have been in a kitchen all day. Sorry about that. My phone's going absolutely bonkers over here. Forgot to cut it off, and it is going crazy. All right, so I'm back. So basically what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take something that I picked up at a thrift store, and we're going to do something creative with it. All right, this is what I picked up at a thrift store. The art is totally not me at all, but I love the frame, and it's got so many options that you can do with it. So I'll tell you, when you purchase something like this, the first thing you need to do is remove all of the paper that holds it in place, okay? Hey, Sandy! So you want to remove all of the paper that holds it in place, and then it's got all of these little tabs, these little metal tabs that hold in whatever you're using. Now, if you're not going to leave the glass in here, I would suggest taking pliers and removing these tabs. Because they're do nothing but catch your skin and your clothes and everything else. What I have planned for this is going to involve removing the glass and the ugly artwork. You may even have artwork in your house or whatever that you don't have any plans for or something, but I would suggest you use caution as you remove the glass, because these crazy little metal tabs want to hold on to it and all. Now, if you want to reuse everything, what I'm going to do with mine involves a magnolia wreath and a gather sign and a couple of other things. But if you're not going to reuse the glass, like if whatever wall you're hanging on, you like the color of the wall behind you, then I wouldn't save the glass. But, well, I would save the glass because I save everything. But what you can do if you don't like the wall color behind your piece, make this look like Mercury Glass. And then it makes it a great project for you to use. We're going to set it aside because this is going to be a project for this week and next week. I want you guys to see what we're going to do. This week we're going to start with this. Okay, this is what we have left after we've taken all of that out. So we are going to do some little work on it. And we're also going to use this, which I picked up at one of the big box stores. And we're going to use this. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, you know what I'm saying? You can pick these up fairly cheaply and attach them for what you want. And of course, we're going to repaint everything so it doesn't matter what it looks like. All right, so now when I do this, I have, you guys know me, I mix everything together. So what we're going to do is this is going to have several different colors on it. Tonight, we're going to start with drop cloth and hurricane gray because I am not a gold person. If you're a gold person, more power to you, but I am not a gold person. So tonight we're going to start with some hurricane gray and some drop cloth just to get rid of the gold. We just want to neutralize the gold. And then I've already mixed together for us to use next week. We're going to mix together Midnight Sky, the bottom and top coat from Silver Metallic, and a little bit of Hi-Ho Silver and Gold Shimmer glazes so that we can end up with what I want, because I do want this to have a little bit of a shimmer to it, parts of it, but not this. I mean, if this is your style, more power to you. But like I say, this is a very well-made frame. If you guys ever find these at thrift stores, oh, please don't pass them up. You can do so many things with this. Now, typically, when I'm doing this, I want my dark colors on the inside and the outside. So I'm going to use my Paint Pixie brush to do this part, the decorative part. And the inside and outside, we're going to kind of blend in a little bit of the the Hurricane Gray, because those are going to be our base colors. And I'm going to do a little bit of this so you guys can kind of get an idea of where I'm going with it. And you may think I'm kind of crazy, but it wouldn't be the first time. If you guys saw me when I was doing the door, the door was hysterical. Everybody thought I chose the wrong colors, and then once I got it washed with the coffee bean, it was amazing. You guys make sure you're liking and sharing because we're going to be giving away paint tonight. All right. Okay, so now so that you guys get an idea, we are going in the center. The very decorative part is what I'm neutralizing with the drop cloth, okay? If you don't get every single inch of it covered, that's not going to be the worst thing ever, but I really, really, really don't like the gold showing, so I'm not going to do that. I don't want the gold showing at all. Another thing you guys might want to consider, I pulled out one of my transfers. If you guys didn't want to make it look like Mercury Glass, you can take one of the Prima transfers, and just the mermaid part of this fits perfectly on my glass. So if you didn't want to use a wreath or something, one of the Prima redesigned transfers would be fabulous. And let me see what it's called. I know it's the mermaid, but it is mermaid. That's all it's called. So there you go. If you guys want to do that, not the framing around the mermaid, but just the mermaid portion, absolutely fits. So you guys can use that on your glass. And like I say, a lot of times these will show up at thrift stores, these frames, old artwork. You may have some in your house or something. And just because these are old gaudy frames doesn't mean that you can't use them for something else. You know, that's what we're here for, to repurpose, renew, and reuse, right? All right. So we're going to go around this a little bit more so you guys can see what we're doing. Basically, we're just neutralizing this ugly, terrible gold look. And like I say, if you guys like gold, more power to you. I'm just not really a gold shiny person. But we may have some pewter look on here. I like the more aged look of pewter in my little creation that we're going to put on here. I think you guys are going to like. I've been monkeying with it for several weeks. I monkeyed with it before boot camp. And if you guys didn't know, I teach painting boot camps here in Georgia and in New Mexico. I still have a couple of spots open in the one in New Mexico in May, in fact. All right, now you guys can see here on this center, it's going to come down just a little bit, the decoration, and we're going to take our drop cloth paint and go down on that as well because we want the gold really neutralized. And you know what? If you like gold but not this much gold, maybe something to consider is put the drop cloth over it and then take you a wet sponge and go over the high points, and then you'll have drop cloth with just a touch of your nice gold showing through. Whatever suits your taste. Like I say, I'm not really a gold person, so I'm using my paint pixie brush. And then we're going to use our Dixie Belle, I think it's the small oval. Mine's been so well used you can't read it anymore. But we're going to use the small oval to put our Hurricane Gray on. And those of you who use transfers, did you know that they're great if you cut them up? I mean, you don't have to use the whole transfer, and it makes them much more versatile if you're not trying to put, I think this one is 22 by 30. And see, I knew that that wouldn't fit on my glass, but the mermaid, she would fit on here exactly. So at this point, I think we're going to go with the magnolia wreath and the gather. But you never can tell. I'm one of those that changes my mind a lot. So, all right. So now you guys get the idea of what I'm doing. The main part that is decorative, I am covering with drop cloth. And if you guys can paint without a mixture bottle, I don't know how you do it. I can't do it. All right, so now we're going to go back in and we're going to go with our Hurricane Gray. And we're going to cover up the gold with our Hurricane Gray. And we want our Hurricane Gray to kind of go right up against the drop cloth, and if they overlap a little, we'll blend them anyway, so it's not going to be that big a deal. And it'll be great with our pewter that we're going to go with. And now keep in mind, I had already cleaned my frame up. It actually had a few little spider webs and different things like that because the little thrift store that I got it from years ago probably hadn't dusted it in forever. It had been there a while, I think. All right. Now, so you guys can get an idea of what I'm going for. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then we're going to have a layer of Hurricane Gray out here on the back. And we're going to kind of blend that together. So it's going to go from Hurricane Gray to drop cloth back to Hurricane Gray. So the sides are probably not going to be nearly as dark as the center. And of course, we're going to do a lot more than that to it, but this is what we're going to get started with tonight. And then next Monday, we're going to work on it again so that you guys can see. All right, so I'm going to show you where we are so you guys can see. So we've got gray to drop cloth back to gray because for some reason, that's what I've got it in my head I want to use because, you know, I find myself, I love certain colors and I'll just use them to death. And Hurricane Gray is not one of those colors, so that's why I decided, you know what? Tonight we are going to use Hurricane Gray because it is such a rich gray. Are y'all liking and sharing? Are y'all living in thunderstorms right now? I think a lot of people still have snow and stuff on the ground. We had a nice warm day today. All right. Did you guys see the kitchen I finished today? It was a blended kitchen. The entire kitchen was blended. If you haven't seen it, go to 44marketplace.com or to search me on Facebook, and I've got pictures of it. The entire kitchen was blended, and it really turned out well. The customer is very happy. All right, we're going to have to put a little bit more of the drop cloth on here so we can put some more Hurricane Gray on there. All right. So now, if you guys have never done this before, you know that these raised details are going to be what our goal is to highlight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put just a little bit more paint on. And you guys, if you're watching, give me some opinions. What other colors would you like to see involved in this? Because now, like I say, I've got the Hurricane Gray already on here and the drop cloth. What else do you think would be pretty in there? And if you're a local retailer, you guys shout out and let everybody know where you are, okay? All right. Look how that detail comes down into the crevices down there. Isn't that gorgeous? All right. So this is what we're going to do for this week. We're going to put our gray and our drop cloth on. We're going to talk about what we're going to do, but I'm pretty sure we're going to do Mercury Glass next week on our glass. Just in case where I'm hanging it, I really don't like the wall color behind it or whatever. So we are going to do Mercury Glass next week. If you guys have never done the Mercury Glass look on regular glass, then you definitely want to tune in. I'm on the Dixie Belle Paint page at 8:30 on Monday nights, just about every week. And if you haven't liked 44 Marketplace, I would greatly appreciate that because I have lots of lives. In fact, I am still in 31 days of live in March on my page. And if you guys have not liked and commented and shared on this post for your chance to win some Dixie Belle Paint, you definitely need to do that too. And if anybody has more questions about what we did last week with our kitchen cabinets, I've gotten several messages this week. And if you guys have more questions, like I say, I'm always happy to answer them. All right, so we've got our gray around the center. We're going to put just a little bit more drop cloth, and then I'm going to let you guys off the hook for the night. Like I say, you guys need to be liking and sharing so that we get this out there and so that we can give away some paint. Also, I am going to be starting a brush sale tomorrow at 44 Marketplace on my page. So if you're looking for some brushes, I am going to be having a brush sale starting tomorrow. All right. I'm going to do just a little bit more so you can see how cute this looks. I love the two-tone effect. And like I say, I'll probably go back and blend a little bit of it so that it softens the transition. if you guys don't know how to blend, it's really a super easy thing to do. And especially if you use, I love to use the Dixie Belle ovals and the Paint Pixie brushes. They make it really easy for the transition. I mean, the Dixie Belle ovals are probably my go-to brush as far as getting into details and things like that. If you guys haven't tried the Dixie Belle synthetic brushes, I'm a synthetic brush girl all day long anyway. But the Dixie Belle synthetics are the bomb diggity. I mean, if you have not tried the Dixie Belle synthetics, you're missing out. They're definitely worth the investment because you can tell by looking at mine, they get used a lot. And I use them in my kitchens, I use them on my furniture. I mean, I use them all the time. My husband laughs because they always stay in the dish drainer. Most normal people don't have brushes in their dish drainer, he says, but they do. All right, so here we are. I still got to do the outside edge, but you guys can kind of see where we're going with this. And next week is going to be really, really, really fun because next week we are going to go over our details and highlight and low light and do our Mercury Glass. And yes, thank you. And what do you guys think of my barn door? Me and a friend of mine from New Mexico did this together. And I'm going to do a live on how to do that as well. So thanks for tuning in tonight. Hey y'all, it's Pam with 44 Marketplace and Creative Finishes by Pam. And I don't know if you guys remember, but last week we started on a great new upcycle and it had this beautiful piece of art in it. Sorry, let me grab our art so everybody can remember. Had our fabulous piece of art that I can't stand. So, you know this is a joke, right? For those of you who didn't watch last week, we had a nice big gold frame with an ugly piece of art that I picked up in a local thrift store. Hey guys, how are ya? Thanks for tuning in tonight. And so we did kind of a blend on it. And I'm going to slide this over. I got to show you guys what I got me. Are these not the cutest things? I got me these for Easter. Are these not the most precious little bunny gnomes? I am in love with them. Aren't they great? So I had to show you guys that. That's what I got myself for Easter. They're precious. Now if I can keep my dogs from getting them, that's going to be even better. Because Isabel will think they are for her. So this is what we did last week. You know, we did the paint and we did the blend on it. And as you guys know, a lot of you guys that follow me know that I had to go out of town for a medical emergency with my dad. So you can see we haven't done anything else to it. Just we put Hurricane Gray on the inside edge and the outside edge. And we used drop cloth for our highlight. And where they met, we blended. And I told you we were going to blend them over the big details. So there you go. This is where we are with this, and we're going to fix this up. But while our Mercury Glass, we're going to make that as well. If you guys remember, it had a piece of glass in it, and several people said that they did not know how to make a Mercury style glass. So I don't want what's behind it to show. So we will have a Mercury style glass to go in my frame. This is one that was left over from another frame, so I just did a quick on it. And I'm going to show you guys how to do it because a lot of people, I guess, have never done this before. It's real quick, it's real easy, and it will add to our project when everything is said and done. Y'all remember, we're liking and sharing and commenting because we are giving away our 8-ounce paint. And for those of you who follow my page, when I hit 15,000 followers, I'm going to give away $150 worth of paint. We are going to have a special promo, and I'm only 300 away. So if you guys can help me, that would be great. All right. Thank you. My backdrop is 2 barn doors that we Craig jigged together, and me and a friend of mine from New Mexico painted them together. All right. So you've got a piece of clear glass. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to spray it with vinegar and water. and it's supposed to be half and half, but for those of you guys who know me, I never worry about is it right, is it close, and you just kind of randomly spray it. And then this is what you're going to want to have. Mirror effect. You can pick it up at any of the big box stores or whatever, and you can tell mine's been used because I use it all the time. You want to make sure it's mixed up really, really well. And the only other thing you're going to need is a paper towel. And another thing, every workshop needs to have vinegar and water. Do you know how awesome this stuff is for distressing your furniture? If you have not tried vinegar and water distressing, you definitely need to. All right, so we're going to spray this in a well-ventilated area. This is my workshop, and so it is well-ventilated. I always have a fan going, and usually the door's open, but this late at night, I'm kind of in a retail location, so there's not a whole lot of people moving around, so I don't have my door open right now. I do have a fan going in the back there though. Okay, so once you've kind of got a light coat, I like to do it in a two-fold motion. You can see it's got little bubbles. Can you guys see where the little bubbles are? Those bubbles are caused from what we did with the vinegar and water. We caused those bubbles. Now you're going to just take your paper towel and you're going to blot, okay? Blot randomly, and you want to let your paper towel kind of move around. You don't want every blot. You want to pop some of those bubbles and everything, but you don't want every blot to be exactly the same shape. So move it around a little bit and everything. You guys didn't know we were making Mercury Glass tonight, did you? Well, we're going to get back to our blending, but we're going to set this aside and let it dry. All right. So now we've got most of this dry, and to speed it up, I got us a blow dryer, so it's going to be a little bit of noise for a minute. All right. Okay, so now this is what we've got so far. Can you guys see? You can leave it like that if you want to, but typically I like to go back in with one more layer of the vinegar and water. This time I go a little lighter and just little spritzes, and I go back in with another very light coat of this because I really don't want whatever's behind it to show, the wall that's behind it. All right, so now you got that done. We do the whole blot thing again, and it causes errors in the glass in different places, and you'll see just little different things. You can blot as much or as little as you'd like to, okay? All right, we're going to blot just a little bit more, and then we're just going to set this aside, and we're going to let it dry, and after it dries, we'll pick it up and I'll show you, but then we're going to go ahead and get back to our frame. All right, we're going to set this over on our other work table, if we can do it without busting it, which is pretty much my modus operandi sometimes. Okay, so this is where we are with our piece. And those of you who follow me know I'm not really a rule follower, so I'm going to show you kind of what I did to create some things to do mine with. I'm going to tilt you guys down so you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing and less of me, okay? All right. Okay, so we had our big gold frame, and I told you I can't stand gold frames. So we've got grays and drop cloth on here, all right? And remember what I told you about these little tabs, the little metal tabs? If you are not planning to use the glass, remove them, because I'm telling you, all they do is grab your skin and clothes. All right, so what we're going to use for this is we're going to use Dixie Belle's Grunge Gray Wax. We're going to use Dixie Belle's Sterling Silver Gilding Wax. We're going to use Dixie Belle's Black Gilding Wax. And we are going to use something that I mixed up. It is actually Midnight Sky, Hurricane Gray, and our metallic base coat and top coat in the silver. And you can see it's got some metallic shine to it, but I didn't want it to be totally silver because silver is not what I'm going for. I'm really going for more of a pewter look. So we're going to apply that with a giant artist brush, which I may end up breaking the handle off of because I don't think I can use it. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in here with a little bit of black gilding wax. And those of you who follow me know that I have to offload my brush before I put it on anything. Now, the reason I'm doing this is to be sure that I end up with the darkness that I'm looking for on my details. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this brush very lightly across these raised details because I want to give them a dark background so that I can be sure that I end up with the pewter look that I'm looking for. Sterling silver has kind of a white background to me, and that is so not what I'm going for with this piece. I definitely want the pewter look. That's why I did what I did with the Mercury Glass. And sometimes as a finisher for the Mercury Glass, I'll actually put a coat of black behind it to give it that little bit of deepness that I'm looking for. And this one, I can tell you what it'll look like when we finish tonight, but I can't tell you that's what'll be my finishing product, okay? Because I know me. If it doesn't look like what I want, I'll throw some black paint on the back of it, and then it'll be definitely more of what I'm looking for. Now, all you're wanting to do is very, very lightly. You're not trying to give color. You're just trying to drag your brush on these details. Some of them are going to get a little bit darker than the others, but it's not a big deal because all you're looking for is something just to give them a deeper undertone because we're definitely looking for that pewter highlight. And you can see the ones that we've done, see this side? As you drag that little bit of the black gilding wax, it really, just dragging it on those, it really makes a difference in the way the details pop. And I don't think a lot of people realize that if you'll just take your brush and spin it around in your gilding wax, because gilding wax comes in a very small little container, and then to make sure that it's through it out your brush, if you'll just offload it onto a piece of cardboard, you get it all the way up inside your bristles. All right, so we're going to go over this again and look at the difference that it makes in your details. Okay? And it's totally up to you as to how much highlighting you do because we're going to go back in with our grunge gray wax very shortly and get it in there. I'm going to do these little outside edges because, like I say, I really want some pewter to show up in this. All right. Make sure we're liking and sharing because we are going to be giving away some paint tonight. And if you don't follow me at 44 Marketplace, please take a minute. Because like I say, we're going to give away $150 worth of Dixie Belle products as soon as I hit 15,000 followers. And I'm only 300 away. All right, so we're going to put that there. Can you guys see what it's doing now? It just is just enough to hit those top edges and those bottom edges. And it really just depends on how much of your brush you get the wax down in as to how much it gets. It may leave a little dust. I don't know if you guys can see it from your end, but don't worry about it because we'll just blow it off. Like I say, we've got a fan going in the back, and I'll just hold it in front of that fan, and it'll get rid of all that little dust for us. You want to make sure you get all of the details. Okay? All right, we're going to spin this around. So can you guys see how much it makes those details stand out? It is amazeballs what you can do with it. All right, so we're going to go on around. What did you guys do today? Was it beautiful there? It was gorgeous here. Of course, I'm still playing catch up because I had to be out of town last week. But oh my goodness, it was beautiful today. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now let's see if we can spin this around without knocking over my paint. I'm not known for having the neatest work area. Ask my husband. He's the one who cleans up after me a lot. Okay, so we're going to do that. All right. A little bit more. I want the top edge of this to show. Now, you guys, it really depends on how deeply you get if you get your brush saturated, then you can rub the side of your bristles, you can rub whatever, and it'll make your details show up. It just depends on how much you get it in there. All right, so now we've got our details showing. We're going to do this last little area. Okay, so now we have our details showing, okay? All right, so what we're going to do now, all we have done so far is adding our black gilding wax. Now, we're going to go back in with some sterling silver just to kind of give a little bit of a pop. Actually, it is not showing up enough for me. I want darker. Okay, so the other color we're going to do, have you guys ever tried our waxes? They are the bomb diggity. If you have not tried the waxes, you definitely need to try the Best Thing wax. Grunge Gray is one of my favorites, and it is fabulous for creating shadows. And that's what I really like to do, because we don't want this piece to end up looking super neat. I want it to be nice, but I really don't want it to have a real polished, a super polished look. Now, I know that we're going in colors of gray, because I had a friend send me a message and say, did you know that grays are out? And I asked her, you know who you're talking to, who cares? I like this, and those are the colors that I want to use, so that's what I'm using. So now look at this. Look at the difference just that little bit of grunge gray wax makes on these details. And of course, you never know that it was that horrible, horrible gold gilded frame, right? Okay, so we're going to put that in there. I'm going to add a little bit of gray up in here, but now what we're going to do is, even though we've got our gray on these edges, I'm still going to add a little bit of the wax right here where the gray meets the drop cloth, because I like for that to be a definite line, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to spin this around. Okay, so there's what we've got going on. Can you guys see how definite it makes that line? All right. So it was supposed to rain. I know, isn't it great when they call for rain and you don't end up with it? It's always a blessing, isn't it? I love it when that happens. All right. And those of you who follow me, my dad got some good news today. So we did have an emergency last week, but it was a little bit better news today. So that is wonderful, because I only have one sibling and he lives in Seattle. So that was amazing. All right. So we're going to add these edges. Now I want you guys to see this creation that I have made. It is quite something. And you guys, I don't know if you saw the last kitchen that I did, but I am one for putting products together. I don't know if everybody realizes, but Dixie Belle products, because they're water-based, they are great to be mixed together. If you have never tried our metallic top coat and our base coat, it is so great. And you will hopefully be able to see. I'm going to walk around there so you guys can see this. It's very rich when you mix all of the colors together. It's very, very rich. And it's a metallic base coat, top coat, hurricane gray, and caviar. And we are going to see if it looks as great in person. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. I'm going to highlight this a little bit, and then I'm going to let you see it. And yes, if you follow me, you know that I love to offload my brush a little bit onto cardboard or something, because especially as beginners, you're a little heavy-handed with your paint and stuff. If you'll get in the habit of offloading some of your whatever it is, whether it's wax or gilding wax or whatever, if you'll just have a piece of cardboard close, usually mine happens to be most of the time on a dog food tray, because as you guys know, I rescue mastiffs. So you'll see that mine ends up on a dog food tray most of the time. And it is a great way to get used to it. And then you can always go back and pick up what you offloaded. All right, I'm going to show you guys how rich this looks. Look at this bottom piece right there. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it is richer than I could have ever imagined. It's very metallic, which is kind of what I was going for. But it is so great. And I'm going to grab our little And the black behind it, you know, I told you, just makes all of the difference because the black makes it look richer. You know, I tell you guys all the time, if you'll use our gilding wax, it really, it adds drama to every piece. And I mean, you know, everybody has drama, right? So it adds a little bit of drama to every one of your pieces. And if you guys just take a minute, you can't believe how great this is. Now, if you're looking for a softer look, you may even want to go with a little bit of our sterling silver gilding wax. We're probably going to go with that, but I want you guys just to see how great part of this looks. Oh, I'm losing a bristle. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more of it so you guys can see, and then I'm going to hold our Mercury glass that we just created behind it so you can get a feel for what we're going for. And now I'm not going to be on here next Monday night. Somebody else signed up for the time slot, but I will be in the Chalk Mineral Paint Enthusiast group at 9 o'clock next Monday night. And I've got a great little Dollar Tree makeover upcycle for you that you can do that's great to use in a guest room. It is super cute, super easy, uses a couple of things that you get from a Dollar Tree, and it also uses Dixie Belle Paint, of course, because you guys know I love all things Dixie Belle. Okay, I'm going to show you how cute this is. And like I say, it is a way to update something. You may even have some of these gold frames in your house. We're going to come around and I'm going to hold it up so I can be sure you can see how rich this looks. All right, there it is. See how rich that metallic color is and how you can just touch the details. It doesn't take much. It only takes a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more of this so you can see it with the Mercury glass behind it, because it is going to be better than I thought it was going to be, which I am so glad to say, because, you know, sometimes my things work out exactly like I want, but not very often. I am not the one who things work out very well. Sometimes my husband calls them my experiments, kind of go awry, and they have to be rethought from time to time. And somebody had messaged me last week about this and wanted to know if it would be in my store, and it will be in my store for our open house this coming Saturday. So, all right. And I told you this is going to be kind of a Glam Farmhouse kind of thing, okay? So we've only done a little bit of our frame, so you guys can see it's one of those things. And I'm going to show you what it would look like. Hopefully it'll let me, hopefully I can manage to get this glass behind it without messing my frame up. We'll see. All right, let's get our little frame out, our little glass. All right, and it's dry, thank goodness. And I'm going to sit it in here carefully, hopefully without breaking it or letting it get me. And I will tell you, I am not the most careful person in the world, but when you're messing with pieces of glass, please be mindful. It'll get you. I've had it get me so many times, and yet I still continue to play with it. So you would think I would learn by now to be more careful, but I'm not always very careful. Okay, mine still has all of my cute little stupid hinges, my cute little metal pegs that'll drive you a little bonkers. And if you want to, you can put a black board behind it or something rather than adding the black paint, just to give it a little bit more depth, but I'm going to show you. This is what it looks like. So you can use it as an old mirror or whatever, but that is not our goal. I still have to do the rest of the edges, but I will show you what we are going to do with ours. Like I say, it is going to be kind of a Glam Farmhouse piece. We've got to finish adding our accents, but, well, there's my stuff. We are going to hang this over the front of it because it is the South, and you know how I love magnolias if you've ever visited my store. So we are going to hang the magnolia wreath over it, and we are going to update our gather. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the same paint that we're adding to this piece right here. Let me find my little piece of paper. We're going to take some of our gather we purchased from a big box store. And I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you if it was Hobby Lobby or Michael's or I have no idea. I'm a hoarder extraordinaire. I told you guys that already. And we're just going to add a little bit of something to make this not look quite so pretty. We're going to put a little bit of our concoction that I made. And we're going to add it on here because we can. I mean, there's no other reason. We want it to have a little bit of our little shimmer and our shine, but we want it to look a little bit aged. So we're just going to add a little bit of a shimmer, a little bit of a shine on here. And there's no reason. I mean, could you get a router and cut all this out or something? Absolutely. But is it going to take you more time than it's probably worth? Absolutely. So we're just going to go back in here and we're going to put this on just enough. And it may be that you don't want shine. You may want yours to be a little more distressed or whatever, and I may change my mind tomorrow. If you follow me, you know how I am. And I may go back in and distress this some or whatever. But I do want it to have a little bit of the feel of my frame. And like I say, this is not really as rustic as it is glam. So we're going to put our gather on here. And that way our gather will go over the top of our frame with our Mercury Glass behind it with our wreath. Now, because we're using a magnolia wreath, you're welcome to change out the wreath. A lot of people that use these kind of wreaths, they'll change it out for a spring wreath or a Christmas wreath or anything like that. And it's super easy to do. It's very easy to attach. Typically, all I do is I attach a small finishing nail to the top of this frame. It makes a minute little hole, and I attach a string, and that's how I attach mine. That way, it's not in there permanently. I've also put a string behind the glass, and that's why I use the Mercury Glass, so that you cannot see. Because, I mean, look how great that is. And like I say, I also have a wreath that is lavender that we could put in there. I have a Christmas wreath that we could put in there. So there's a million things you could do. And if this wreath is too plain for you, you can always go in and add something else. You can add flowers to it or whatever. But when you get everything together, it just is quite the presentation piece. And I mean, I'm talking, I probably have maybe, I don't know, I got it at a thrift store. I paid more for the wreath and such as I did anything else. And you can see when everything's said and done, it's going to be a stunning piece. But if you didn't want the wreath on there, it's beautiful in its own right. So I hope that you guys have seen how easy this is to do and how really it's one of those things that if you haven't tried it, it may seem daunting. But it's super easy. For those of you who want to hang around and let me get a little bit more of this on there, I will show you what it's going to look like. And for those of you who need to sign off, thanks for tuning in. I hope you've liked and shared because we are going to be picking a winner shortly. And you're going to get an 8-ounce paint. And you are going to get to see some finished pictures, hopefully. Whoop. My little artist brush is shedding a little. That's the one thing about when I use my Dixie Belle brushes, I don't have to worry about shedding. But when I use my little artist brushes, I don't really care how great they are because I don't keep up with them very long and I'm not a good steward of my brushes, so I don't care if they don't last very long. I don't really take that great a care of them, so I can't be mad when they don't last long because I didn't take care of them. All right. When you're doing pieces like this, you want to make sure that those edges are finished up. I notice a lot of people, when they do them, they don't make sure that all of your back edges and such. If you're going to put it up for sale, you definitely want to make sure that not only the front edges that you see, but those back edges also are done very well because, I mean, it's amazing the difference just a little extra care can make in your piece. Just a tiny bit of just a few extra minutes of a little brush here and there, it makes all the difference in the world if you just take the time. If you get started on something like this and you get stumped, I'm always available by text message and social media. I'm happy to help if you have any questions, because things like this are so much fun. And I know a lot of people that don't do a lot of painting, they still like to do some DIYs. And you know, there's so many creative DIYs that you guys can do. All right, so I'm going to finish this up. And those of you who want me to, I will definitely put up some finished pieces, some pictures, so that you guys can see what a big help you were and how great it was. And like I say, next week at 9 p.m. I'll be in the Chalk Mineral Paint Enthusiast group. I also have a chat bot on 44marketplace.com that will notify you when I'm going to go live if you guys go over there and sign up for my messages. And I would love to have you be part of my little group so that you know when I'm going live. And if you haven't liked 44 Marketplace, I'd appreciate that, because like I say, we are going to give away, and if I can do it by Easter, if I can do it by my open house next Saturday, I'm going to double the prize. If I can do it by next Saturday, I am going to double the prize. I am going to give away $300 worth of Dixie Belle paint and brushes and everything to a lucky winner. And that way, everybody who helps get there, I'm going to let everybody know, and I'm going to let everybody sign up that helps me get there this week, so that we can see about getting some prizes out. And if you're in my local area, we give away door prizes at least every hour at my open house. So if you are anywhere near Eatonton, Georgia, you are welcome to come and visit us for our open house next week. All right. Well, if you guys don't, my comments aren't showing up again, which sometimes they do. I don't know why. They do show up sometimes, and other times they don't. But for those of you who logged in last week, you know how ugly this thing was in gold. And if you liked it, I'm sorry that I thought it was ugly, but gold gilded is not my favorite. All right. But this is definitely much more my favorite. And I hope that everybody likes what we've done together, because we're almost around it with our concoction. And if you guys have questions as to what I made my little designer paste out of, you're welcome to ask. It was base and top coat of the silver metallic paint, and it was hurricane gray and midnight sky, because I wanted it to have a dark base so that we would get more of a pewtery look rather than the look that is, the other look is a little too soft for what I was going for. It really didn't, I was afraid it wouldn't give me the body that I needed over some of these grays. And I really wanted it to have more of a wow factor. So it needed a little more body. And like I say, I may even go back in with another coat of the black over it, just to make sure that it really kind of does it for me. Because I know what I'm looking for, and some of it looks like what I wanted it to, and some of it, I'm not sure if it's quite there yet. So I guess we will see what happens. And this is it. There you go. So everybody can see what it looks like at this point. You can see my fluorescent lights in the ceiling. And like I say, we are going to have our gather. And we are going to get this all put together later this evening. So keep an eye out for some finished pictures. And thanks so much for watching.